what's happening? Today we're here to talk about Gibson Les Pauls. Some of the things that I find fascinating, interesting, a few reasons why I like them so much. I'm also going to tell you what I don't like about them. But let's just take care of business right out of the gate. There's a little button on your screen. It's a subscribe button. It's right down in the bottom right corner of the video. I'm new to YouTube and I'd really appreciate if you could hit that button for me. Thanks a lot. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. My favorite guitar of all time is a Gibson Les Paul. Now, I'm not a gear snob or any, cork sniffer or anything like that. A lot of guys are, and that's fine. I don't tend to be that way. Regardless of what it says in the headstock, if a guitar serves a purpose, feels and sounds good, I don't care what the headstock says. It's all about perception. I guess a lot of people like them because they can afford them, I suppose. They're not the cheapest guitar out there. They're also not the most expensive. For instance, if you're looking for an old Les Paul, there's 3 years that are really, really big: 58, 59, and 60. Now, in 1958, that was the first year they introduced the burst finish. Prior to that, they were all gold and black. I believe black was added in 54 with the addition of the Les Paul Custom. But those 3 years, that's when the burst started to appear. That's the first time Gibson made the burst finish on a guitar. But for a 1959 Les Paul, today, you can't touch one for less than $250,000. Now I'm speaking in U.S. currency. $250,000. That's 3 times what my house cost, more than that. It's insane to me. No matter how much money I had, I would never ever spend that kind of money on a guitar. If I was somehow gifted one, if I had an uncle I didn't know about and he passed away and had one in his closet and gave it to me, I'm telling you, I'd sell it. I would buy 100 guitars for that price. I just could never see paying that much money. But some guys can, and I don't fault them for spending that kind of money. It's just not something I'm willing to do. But Les Paul the man, he didn't just invent the electric guitar. He also invented lots and lots of cool studio tricks. How we record today, mainly, is because of Les Paul. He invented multi-tracking. He was just a genius when it come to musical innovations. He was really, really smart about those things. Now, his first electric guitar was called the Log, and it just was a one-piece neck, and it had wings that snapped on the side. I saw it last year at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's pretty neat. It's pretty ugly, but it's definitely cool. We wouldn't be playing these things if it wasn't for him, that's for sure. But what I really like about Gibson Les Pauls is their versatility. They are so versatile. Not just because they have pretty features and look awesome. They're just really, really versatile. You can dial in any kind of sound with the combination of the 2 pickups and the 3-way switch and the volume and tone knobs. For instance, you can get really, really clean. And you can also get really dirty. Now, I promise you I didn't touch anything but my volume knob. And they're just so versatile. You can blend the pickups however you want. And I also like the sound of a Les Paul. When you hear a Les Paul in a song, like when you hear Slash, any of Slash's songs, almost all of Slash's, you just hear that Les Paul. To me, it's almost automatically, I can tell that's a Les Paul. You're probably that way too. But anyway, what I find fascinating about guitar players is we are the most opinionated people on the planet. You'll have guys tell you, oh, this is the best, and this is good, and this is bad, and that sounds like crap. Music is subjective. What I like, you may not like. What you like, I may not like. I mean, if we all like the same thing, it would be one hell of a boring planet, right? I find everybody's tastes and the difference in everybody, what they like, I find all that stuff really fascinating. You know, tone is super subjective. You know, some guys might say this sounds awful. Some guys may say that's the best sound I've ever heard. I don't think I'd go that far, but I certainly do love the sound of a Les Paul. Anyway, I just wanted to hang out with you guys for a bit today and talk a little bit about my favorite guitar. They're awesome. They're really cool. Here's another little tidbit you probably didn't know. Or if you did, it's okay. I'm sure somebody's going to watch this that didn't know this. After 1960, Les Pauls weren't selling very well. There were 1,700, about roughly 1,700 Les Pauls sold in those 3 years. In 1961, Gibson said, man, we got to do something different. Les, we're going to build a different guitar for you to endorse. He said, okay. They built what you and I now call an SG. If you don't know what an SG looks like, picture Angus Young. That's a Gibson SG. Well, in 1961, that was a Gibson Les Paul Custom. Les didn't like the design, didn't like the feel of it, didn't like the look of it. So he wanted his name off the guitar. Then it became the SG. And SG stands for Signature Guitar. Now, if you knew that, that's awesome. You're probably a nerd like me. But if you didn't, I always find little tidbits like that fascinating. Those guitars are really, really sought after, you know. To me, a Les Paul, it feels like home. It's super comfortable. I prefer the 50s neck profile. Gibson uses two main profiles on their guitars, a 50s and a 60s slim taper. Now, there's not a huge difference between the two. 60s slim taper is not super slim by any stretch of the imagination. It's nothing like a Wizard 3 or a Super Wizard Ibanez neck. They're not like that at all. It is just a little bit thinner, not quite as thick. When you hear people talk about 58s, those necks are huge. I played an R8 last year, and when I grabbed the neck, I couldn't believe that it was so big and so fat. In 59, they had slimmed it down quite a bit, and in 1960, they slimmed it down even more. But those are just some neat, nerdy facts about Gibson that I thought maybe you'd enjoy. If you're still here, obviously you like Les Pauls, or I'm just that damn awesome that you want to be watching this video. I don't care what the reason is. I just want to hang out with you guys. But I really like Les Pauls. I love the versatility. I love the sound. And I mean, come on, look at that thing. Who doesn't like the looks of a Les Paul? Well, there's some people out there. You know, when I go to buy a guitar or shop for a guitar, I definitely lean more towards vintage instruments. You know, sunburst finishes, stuff like that. I'm not opposed to a pointy bright red guitar or a pointy bright green guitar by any stretch of the imagination. I just tend to like vintage looking instruments a little bit more. They, you know, again, that's just something that's subjective. Everybody has their own taste, right? Exactly. Some of my favorite Les Paul players, definitely Jimmy Page. Jimmy Page was awesome. He had all kinds of, you know, really cool licks. Whoops. Nope. There we go. Haven't played that in a long time. But I just like the way they sound. Most Les Paul players are rock players. You know, you do see them in a little bit of blues, some jazz. I think the jazz guys like them because they're warm sounding. But again, everybody has their own tastes. Well, guys, I don't want to take up all your time. I suppose I'm going to go mow my grass. It's really windy here today in northwestern Pennsylvania where I live, but the temperature is great. We've had a high all week of low to mid 70s, relatively low humidity. I love it. I love it. It's because I'm fat and I sweat when it's really hot, but that's all right. I like it here, and I'm going to leave it at that. You guys have an awesome day. Thanks for watching this video. Hit that thumbs up button if you can. I appreciate you watching. Until next time, see ya.